look who showed up. It's you for More Thoughts Elite. I think this is episode 24. I'm going to start numbering the episodes. I didn't for the longest time. I didn't up till the previous episode. But I'm going to. And this episode, I know the last episode I deviated and I actually talked about ideas a little bit. But this episode, I'm going to do an unboxing and for one book. So it's going to be short probably. But I did want to do this unboxing because, as I said in my previous unboxing, which was 2 episodes ago, I bought a lot of books recently that are things that I saw that I'm going to put into my far future read pile, which means I'm not putting into something to read right away, but I'm going to store it in my library topically and read several books of the same topic in sequence so I can absorb better. It's always good if you've got a topic that you want to study to not just read one book or not just look at one source. It's really important to get multiple sources so that you know that you're getting a well-rounded view, particularly if those sources disagree, because then you're not just simply absorbing someone else's ideas. You're weighing different opinions. You're saying, okay, this guy gave this evidence and this person gave this other evidence and they made this argument and they made this argument, and it's up to me to, as a fully responsible adult, to make up my mind what I think. And that's the best way to learn. So 2 episodes ago I did an unboxing where I unboxed something on the South Carolina backcountry, and guess what? I've got another book on the South Carolina backcountry. Here it is. This is the Presley family and Life Along Hard Labor Creek, starting in 1767 and going to 1850, which is roughly, it's contemporary with the book that I bought before. It's not exactly as far back as I'd like to go. I mean, I really wish that there were some books. I'm sure there are. I just need to find them and add them to the same pile that this and the previous book are going to be in. Do I still have that book here? I don't know. You know what? I'm not going to bother with it. If you want to see it, you can go back 2 episodes and look at that one. But this, essentially, the reason I bought this book is because I had bought the other book, and I want to read them in sequence and compare the ideas. If I find other books that talk about colonial South Carolina previous to, as a matter of fact, I know I have a book that is from this same region, this sort of mid-Atlantic, Virginia to South Carolina region coming, and I'll unbox that one too and show you how I'm trying to cover all aspects. But if I find some more books that are more deep into the 1700s or even 1600s, I'm just going to add it to the pile, and at the end I'll probably have, I know at least I'll have 3, because I have 2 already in my possession and a 3rd one on the way. And if I get a couple more and I got 5 books to read back to back during a week, so I can really dive into this period of history in the Carolinas, all the better. So this is my unboxing for this episode.
Hold up, not so fast.
Hey, I bet you thought you were done with me for an episode, but no. Because of the delay in posting the previous episode, the Okina episode, I got the other book that I was talking about just now. You probably remember it because it was for you just a few seconds ago. For me, it was several days ago. I had recorded that segment earlier and I stashed it away and decided to wait upon that book. So you may remember from multiple episodes, I unboxed this book, which is the Carolina Backcountry. This is an old library book, and it's about the history of colonial and post-colonial South Carolina. And then, of course, I got this book on settling the South Carolina backcountry. An interesting coincidence of terms. It's funny that they keep using the same exact term, backcountry, because usually what you find in history books is historians love renaming things and they love using different terms. So if I had someone tell me that they had two books on South Carolina away from the coast, I would have said, well, someone's going to use backcountry and someone's going to use backwoods. But they didn't. They used the same terms. Interesting enough. But today, as I told you, I like to get all perspectives on a subject. I don't like to just take one side of any issue and just trust that I'm getting the whole story. I want the whole story. I want everything. I want everybody's perspective. And of course, if you're going to talk about colonial America, there is a perspective that you have to get. And so on this perspective of the Carolinas during the colonial period, you've got to get this, the perspective of the Catawba Nation. And so I bought this book so that while I'm reading, or in sequence of reading the other books, I can get the perspective of the people who lived there before those white people started showing up in their ships from across the ocean. So this is going into my Carolinas historical reading pile, and so that I can get the whole story. I want the whole story. I want everything. I want to know exactly what was going on from all sides. So that is really why I sort of paused on this, and why I had that little segue into this segment, this unboxing segment. It's another unboxing segment, I know. But at the same time, I would like to share with you, and I already opened it. Unfortunately, I'm violating the rules of unboxings by having already opened it, but I was kind of enthusiastic. I am a Duke of Gloucester donor to Colonial Williamsburg. And so anytime I get anything from Colonial Williamsburg, I'm really enthusiastic. I love going down there. And there's a tavern that I stay at every time, which I always like to joke that they build this tavern as a place that Thomas Jefferson once slept, but they don't tell you whether the room that you're in is the one that he slept in. And I suspect, and this is perfectly fine, I suspect that the reason they don't say that is not that they don't know which room he slept in, but that if you stay at the inn, you can always imagine that you're in the room even if you're not. So I got this letter from them, and it's just a basic, I mean, it's admin stuff. You know, I know it's a form letter, but I still appreciate it because I value Colonial Williamsburg so much. And it just says, thank you for your continued support. And this is from Felicia Middleton. She's in the Colonial Williamsburg Fund. Thank you for your continued support. I'm pleased to confirm that Colonial Williamsburg recorded your last 2018 gift to the Colonial Williamsburg Fund on December 10th. This is, you know, it's really weird because I'll tell you what, at work, when I'm at work, I hate to get form letters. Like where I work, they send you out an email on your birthday, and if you move from one job to another, sometimes you get stuff. And I'm currently on a job that I know at the end of it they're going to want to give me a plaque, and I just don't want it because it's just a job. You know, it's my work. But this is something I donate to because I believe in it. And so it really is nice to get something like this. We're fortunate to have friends like you who recognize the vital role Williamsburg played during our nation's earliest days. Exactly. Ideas born in this colonial capital continue to resonate throughout our country centuries later, helping us understand what it means to be American. Please accept my heartfelt thanks for your support. I really like stuff like this from people that, you know, I voluntarily support, which I do with Williamsburg, because I'm so fascinated by that period in history. You know, the beginning of our country, and Williamsburg is and that part of the country, Williamsburg, Yorktown, Jamestown, is a place where you can really learn a lot about how our country began and how different peoples came together, and not always under the best of circumstances. But even so, different peoples came together and interacted, and ideas went back and forth, and that I think is just a fascinating part of history. When and as I've said before in this series, in the Thoughts of Leith series, one of the reasons that I'm so fascinated by the Age of Exploration is because human communities who were separated for millennia by vast distances were suddenly thrown into the mix together, and you know, peoples from the Americas, from Europe, from Asia, from Africa, and again, not always under the best circumstances. That's undeniable, but they were thrown into the mix together again, and for the first time for millennia. And to me, that's just fascinating. I love to explore that era and look at how different people interacted. And that's one of the reasons why I bought the books that I did on the Carolinas. I just want to know. I wanted to see how these different peoples interacted. When diverse cultures and religions and languages come together, it's just fascinating to me. And that's why this period in history, especially the 1600s and 1700s, is just so fascinating to me, because that's really when it was a period when people were really working it out. I mean, at this point, we still have a lot of cultural encounters in the 21st century. But back during this period, it was just sort of getting off, kicking off that process that's still going on today. And so I love it. That's why I'm so fascinated by places like Williamsburg, by history like the colonial period in the Carolinas. And I would encourage anybody who's really into human beings interacting with each other, and to learn from particularly to learn from the lessons of history where things didn't go well, and to learn from them and to know how to make a better path forward. So anyway, this is the actual end of this. I had an end for this episode already recorded, and I dubbed over it, as you may have been able to tell when I was back in my t-shirt. It seemed like I was wrapping things up, and then I stopped it. And as I'm editing this, I'm going to start this segment over top of that episode. But this is the actual end. If you like Thoughts of Leith, just subscribe and like it, share it, and let your friends know about it, and keep tuning in for more Thoughts of Leith.